Hello everybody, and welcome to my November reading vlog. The Halloween season is officially over and I'm pretty bummed out, so I thought that I would make the worst possible decision and read one of the books off of my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster. And I decided it's the big one, the doorstop, this horrible mess that is The Stand by Stephen King. I will not be going into heavy detail in this vlog because this gets its own vlog because it's 1100 pages, all, complete and uncut. Yep. So I won't be going into heavy detail in this vlog, so I'm just going to be slogging my way through this for the first half of the month. I'm assuming the first half of the month. I've already gone through 100 pages of it, and it is exactly what you're expecting from a crappy Stephen King novel. I had to put the book down because it was way too heavy. Aside from that, I am going to be picking out an audiobook to also listen to in conjunction with reading The Stand because I need a reason to keep living as I make my way through that nightmare. So that is my plans for the month so far, so stay tuned. Alrighty, mini update time. I am 530 pages through to In the Stand by Stephen King. The plague already happened and killed everybody, but now we're in this post-apocalyptic world with a cast of like 4 or 5 characters, and then there's this like really old woman fighting this thing called the Dark Man, which is really, really confusing. Why didn't Stephen King make this 2 books, super flu and then post-apocalyptic battle between good and evil, He should have really thought it through before putting it all into an 1100-page nightmare. So this thing is going to be done in a few days, luckily, and it can get out of my hair and out of my house. And the second book that I am currently listening to is Down the Rabbit Hole by Holly Madison, which is a tell-all book about her stay in the Playboy mansion in the early 2000s. For those of you who don't know, and there could be a younger audience watching this, Hugh Hefner was the editor-in-chief and founder of Playboy magazine, which was a sort of 18-plus magazine, if you will, that started in like the 50s and carried on and probably until today. I'm sure they just do regular articles now, but it was a big deal then, printed magazine that had some classy nudes in it. And Hugh Hefner in the late 90s and early 2000s did this sort of publicity thing where he had a whole bunch of girlfriends and he'd go out clubbing and do publicity with them, and he in his mansion actually did have a lot of girlfriends. It was up to 8, I believe, at once at one point, but in Holly Madison's story, she eventually dwindles down to 3 main girlfriends that Hef has. They are Holly, Kendra Wilkinson, and Bridget Marquardt. They had their own show on E! In the mid-2000s titled The Girls Next Door about the Playboy Mansion. I feel like some of the audience when they were younger might have seen the MTV Cribs episode of the Playboy Mansion as well. I believe they were in that one as well. But her story is very interesting so far. She's really given a lot of insight into the mansion and sort of how bad of a person that Hef was. He's pretty gross and pretty weird, but you could kind of see that on the show. I learned about this from a podcast about the early to mid-2000s called Lay Do You Remember This, which is on most podcasting streaming apps, sites, I don't know. I will link it down below if people are interested, but I do like that I am getting Holly Madison's voice herself. She reads her own audiobook and she's really good at it. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm only about 30% of the way through, but that's my current reads for now. Alright, we are 1/3 through the month, and I'm finally finished The Stand by Stephen King. I really rushed through this thing because it was boring, worthless, and all of this. additional stuff I had to read was useless, and I had a bad time reading this. This was 1 star for me. I am finishing up Down the Rabbit Hole pretty soon, and then my next read is going to be finishing all of my poster read books for the year. I'm going to be reading The Fault in Our Stars by John Green because I want to get it out of the way. And it seems like a short enough YA book to be sort of a solution after reading this nightmare. I need to pick up something easier again. So, The Stand, Stephen King, 1 star. Update, done. Hey there, teeny tiny update. I finished The Fault in Our Stars by John Green for my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster, and I am only giving it 3 stars. It's pretty harmless. It is exactly what I expected of the, staple of the cyclit YA genre. And it's not my favorite book I've ever read. I don't like John Green's writing style. And with this book out of the way, I'm not going to read any more books off of my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster until next year because I need a break, goddammit. But I still don't know what I'm going to read next. I have to figure that out. I'm thinking maybe finally a vampire story this month, but I have to figure out which. Okay, that's it for now. No. He's camera shy. Yeah. Hey guys, just an update from me here. I was just reading in the bath, and everybody's right, that is relaxing and lovely, and I had a great time in there. The book that I decided to read next is called The Blood of the Vampire by Florence Marryat. It is a novel that was also published in the year 1897, you know, Dracula's year, and it is about this woman named Harriet who has a lot of money but has been living in a convent her whole life, and now she is being brought into English society, and for some reason everyone around her starts to weaken and die, and it's basically about English society and how there's people that are unbearable and there's people that drain you, and it's a whole metaphorical vampire so far rather than a actual literal one where there are scenes of her drinking blood. Lots of people have basically called it like Jane Eyre with a metaphorical vampire in it, and I can agree with that. I actually am liking the book so far. I am only halfway through it. I enjoy a metaphorical vampire if they're done properly, and I can definitely see what the metaphor is here. Everything's very well paced. I'm actually pretty engaged on who she's going to harm next, and it has better writing, pacing than Dracula so far. Dracula's very, very bombarded by its own prose and scenes of useless description that sort of take away from the pace of it. Of course, I do have to acknowledge that the main character, Harriet, has said some pretty awful things about where she was born. That was Jamaica. She was a technically white woman born in Jamaica, so she says some very, very horrible racial things. But if she is basically the vampire in this story and it's framed as she is pretty evil, I will not enjoy reading that sort of language in any context. But this one, at least, she's bad, and you know she's bad, so. And there are other characters in this book who aren't even the vampire who I can't stand, so far I'm enjoying the process of reading it, and I hope to give it a higher rating if it keeps up this pace. So that's my update for now. Hey there. I just wanted to show you a different part of my room because damn are all my videos lately that one spot in my room, and I do apologize for that. So this is just the end of the month mini update before I do my final end of the month wrap up. I have finished The Blood of the Vampire by Florence Marryat, and I am giving it 4 stars, I believe. As expected, it was not a physical, actual blood-sucking vampire. It was strictly metaphorical. I kind of knew that going into it, but I did have a wee little bit of hope. I found it a little bit lacking in any true proper substance. It was very psychological when the character finds out that she is basically sucking the life out of people, either physically or metaphorically. She does get brutally upset, and the things that happen to her are due to that, but it's all due to her birth. And I understand the aspects of class and race that they're trying to discuss, but of course it was written in 1897, and all of the racial aspects are incredibly outdated and a bit awful. But for the time, as a book written in that time, it is pretty good, and it is really cool to contrast it to Dracula, which was published the same year. I enjoyed that all of the characters were like well-rounded. It didn't matter what their gender was. There were idiot boys and like hero boys, and then there were evil women and nice women. Just a nice balance, well-rounded, not too much gender bias, like woman is the victim or the villain or man is the hero. It was very well balanced. All the characters were pretty good and pretty, varied in their character types, so it wasn't entirely annoying. And the book that I am currently reading, the one I think I will be finishing the month out with, is called The Way Home by Julian Barr. It is basically a YA retelling of the Aeneid. Now, the Aeneid by Virgil is actually a very pretty interesting story. It was, what's his name? Augustus, Emperor Augustus, he said, write me my own Iliad, write me my own Odyssey. And Virgil went, ugh, fine. So he had to essentially create this Roman propaganda in the style of a Greek epic, and that's the Aeneid. So it's about the character Aeneas, who is a Trojan during the Trojan War, and he is forced to leave Troy as it burns down and essentially take his people to a new land, which will become Rome. Now, the language in this book is very accessible, very easy. It's almost a little bit too modern, the way they will start their sentences with, yeah. Which, not very of the time, but I understand that it's just trying to capture the feeling. I think this is going to be a good, beginner's version of the Aeneid, because I know a lot of people don't actually want to read the epic poetry. So if you just want to read a narrative written in novel prose of the story, I'd say it's pretty good. So that's my update for now. I will finish this video with my usual end of the month clip on the floor by my bookshelf, as usual. Okay, that's it for now. It's giving Milo Thatch, isn't it? It's giving Milo Thatch.
You do swim, do you not?
Oh, I swim pretty girl. Pretty good, pretty good. Good, swim good, pretty good. I swim pretty good.
Alright, here we are at the November 2021 wrap-up. This month, I only read 5 books, and they weren't my favorite of the year, let's just say that. The first book that I read this month was The Stand by Stephen King, and I'm only giving that 1 star. My God, was that long, just endless, weak, boring. It didn't scare me, and it's about a plague. I read it during a plague, and it didn't scare me. The only thing that freaked me out a little bit was that one of the characters died of appendicitis without medical treatment, and that's, scary. But otherwise, nope. and that second half of the book was literally just, oh, we should really be scared of Rando Flag. And then he didn't do anything? Were there zombies at the end of the book? I don't know. It was really bad. And then the second book that I read for the month, I listened to the audiobook of Down the Rabbit Hole by Holly Madison, who is a former Playboy bunny and Hugh Hefner's #1 girlfriend, and she reveals how she ended up at the Playboy Mansion, her life as a reality star on The Girls Next Door, and her relationships with both Hugh Hefner and Chris Angel. I ended up giving it 5 stars because listening to the audiobook, I got a better sense of how she meant her words to be delivered. A lot of people in the Goodreads reviews were saying that she was horrible, misogynistic, and trying to do a very victimizing, woe is me, I had no choice sort of delivery, but I think they were just reading the words on page and not really getting her delivery, what she had in mind as her character for the novel. And it is her own perspective. I'm not saying that she's perfect, she's the perfect feminist or anything. She does say some things about sex work that are a little bit questionable, but she is a human being. She does take responsibility for the choices she made, but she also acknowledges that she was part of an abusive system. So I think that she has balanced herself very well and told her story very well. So I'm going to give it 5 stars, and I plan to read both Isabella St. James's book and Kendra Wilkinson's book about the same subject. I then finished off my year of reading books off of my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster by reading The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I ended up giving that one 3 stars because it is exactly what it is set up to be. It is a staple in the sick lit genre, pretentious writing, pretentious millennial writing for young teens, specifically by John Green, and I don't like his writing style. It reminds me too much of the Glee era, and it was fine. I did not like Gus. I think Gus sucks. Next, I read The Blood of the Vampire by Florence Marryat, which is a psychic, essentially, vampire novel written and published the same year as Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1897, and I'm giving that one 4 stars. As much as I like actual physical vampires, I don't mind a good metaphorical vampire, and this one was essentially like these psychic vampires on What We Do in the Shadows. She sucks the life out of someone just by being in their presence, and I do enjoy that aspect. What I didn't enjoy was a lot of the negative racial attributions about it. It's very racialized why she is the way she is, and I would have just liked it if she were just a unbearable person or something. I did not like how it had to be racially created, involved, blamed. And finally, I finished off the month by reading The Way Home by Julian Barr, which is a younger audience targeted retelling of Virgil's Aeneid, which is the story of Aeneas, a Trojan who ends up discovering Rome. It was a Roman epic styled in the form of a Greek epic due to Emperor Augustus commissioning propaganda of that nature. I am giving the story 3 stars because it was very engaging. It told the story very well in a very fresh novel prose, and it included a lot of what the gods were up to and their plans, and I always enjoy that because that's exactly what the Iliad did. And the Aeneid doesn't really mention what the gods are up to, briefly, but it doesn't really get into their perspective. Aeneas is a good protagonist. He was forced into this role as leader after Troy burned down, and he has this destiny put upon him, and he really doesn't know what he's doing, which is always a good protagonist arc. I really like that. And it is just a very good introduction to the Aeneid for those who don't really want to read the epic poetry that the story is originally written in. So I would recommend it as your first step into understanding that myth. So that's it. That was my November. It is a bit of a lesser month, but I was very busy prepping for the holidays, so I didn't get a lot of reading time in. But now that I have read both of my books for my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster, my entire December is free to read what I want to read. I don't have any books that I am forcing myself to read. So I'm very excited for next month, not just because of my birthday and Christmas, but also for the books that I plan to read. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in these sorts of videos. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.